Howdy YouTube, how's it going? Mo Sports Network back again today. We have good news. I have a new editing software I can use to edit videos. However, I need to make this video quickly because Thursday Night Football is about to happen. But we are going to talk about last week. Usually we'll have different videos for this, but I was a mess last week, especially getting the power ranking videos done. But now we can just talk about actual football and not speculation. Although there will be some speculation in this video, but we're going to do a recap of week one. Talk about the matchup tonight, Bengals-Browns, as well as some other picks for this week. So it's going to be a fun video. And hopefully it's the last time you have to see my camera on my laptop as the webcam. Hopefully we can go back to usual face cam going forward. But talking about last week, we have my predictions. These stayed fluent. They're going to change from now on, but these were my week one predictions. We're going to talk about where I was right and where I was wrong. So, the AFC, just the AFC games was 100% right. I killed the AFC. I got them all correct. Chiefs, they looked dominant like a Super Bowl force. I still have them as my number one team in my power rankings. They will continue to be there. Chiefs are looking really good. Texans, they struggled without DeAndre Hopkins. That's to be expected. They looked better at the end of the game, though. They have stuff to grow on, which was surprising me because I thought they would struggle really bad this game. They did to an extent, but there's stuff to work on for the Texans in the future. Jets, Bills, this one wasn't a surprise. Bills took care of business. Not going to spend too much time talking about this one. Jags, Colts, I picked the Jags to win this one despite having the Jags really low in my power rankings as the 31 team. I thought Phillip Rivers would start off slow. He definitely did. What surprised me is how good Gardner Minshew looked. He looked like a legitimate quarterback in this game. 19 for 20 passing, I believe, and that's hard to do. 3 touchdowns. So props to Gardner Minshew and the Jags. I don't think this is going to be a good team this year. But still, at the end of the day, props to them. Good stuff overall. Patriots beat the Dolphins. Cam Newton looked sort of like his old self, so that's interesting. And the Dolphins, they got the Ryan Fitzpatrick thing happen to them. Play really good for him, do good things for him one year, and then he struggles badly the next year after he has his one good year in the first year at the team. So question marks all around with the Dolphins. Their defense did look pretty solid, although Cam does need some time to implement into this Patriots offense. Overall, not too many takeaways from this game. The Patriots, I don't know what I think about them yet, and I think the Dolphins are still a couple years away. Ravens kicked the crap out of the Browns. Didn't expect that one. I expect this game to be close. And the Ravens took them to town. The Browns, they better get a win tonight or get a close game tonight, or Baker Mayfield is in trouble. People are already calling for his head, and week one did not help his cause at all. So it's going to be a very big game tonight. All the pressure is on Cleveland's side. So I don't know what that means for the Bengals or the Browns. I have some thoughts on it, and I'm going to explain it. But as of now, yikes. I'm an idiot earlier when I said I got my AFC picks all right because the Chargers did defeat the Cincinnati Bengals in week one. I thought Joe Burrow could get it done against Tyrod Taylor and a new Chargers offense with a missing Derwin James and some missing offensive line pieces. But the Chargers got it done thanks to some mishaps, to say the least. Joe Burrow really gross interception. Joe Mixon's first fumble ever. And then a really weird pass interference call, which was probably right. And then followed by a shanked field goal to win the game. So that's that. Chargers get the win week one. They're going to have a really good defense this year. And then the Titans in a really weird Monday night late game in Mile High. Denver really disappointed me this game. Only 14 points. Tennessee's defense looked really good. But Denver has... I had Denver going 7-9 this year after the Von Miller loss, I thought Tennessee was going to win this game, but I thought it'd be more high scoring. If Steven Gostkowski can make kicks, this was more than a 10-point win for the Titans. So Titans defense looks really good. I don't know where the Broncos go from here after that performance. Expected more from Drew Lock. Then we go to these matchups. I got them both wrong, unfortunately. Las Vegas impressed me a lot. I didn't expect their offense to look as potent as it did, even against a young, potentially struggling Panthers defense. But they did get it done in Carolina. And so Las Vegas is a team I think that is very interesting to look at, especially since the Chargers and the Broncos both struggled mightily in their week 1 games. Las Vegas now is a team to look at as a dark horse playoff team, in my opinion, and a team that I hope to be wrong about, because they were fun to watch week 1, and I had them as like number 27 in my power rankings, even lower than the Panthers. So really good win for them. And the Panthers showed some good stuff as well against obviously a weaker Vegas secondary or Vegas defense. But I think they still have some building blocks to work with, whether they want Teddy as their QB for the future or not. And then I completely just whiffed on the Steelers Giants game. I thought Big Ben was going to look rusty, and he did for a little bit, but he sort of looked like his old self to an extent, as I remember him playing. And the Steelers offense overall got the job done. So good on them. They did leave some points on the board at points, so this game could have been even worse. Although Daniel Jones is a mess of his own, and we can talk about that later on. I plan through the week talking about individual games and individual talking points for each of them to kind of personalize each video more. So we'll talk about Daniel Jones, don't worry. But just completely whiffed on this one. Seahawks, they looked really good. Offense and defense. The Falcons scored some points in garbage time, but not really when it mattered. Jamal Adams is exactly what we thought he'd be in Seattle. And the offense, Metcalf, Lockett, Moore, they're all doing things. Chris Carson looked great. Russell Wilson finally able to sling that ball. He could be the top fantasy quarterback this year. Russ is on MVP watch for sure. So Seattle's there. I picked Washington to be a really beat-up Eagles team. I didn't expect 8 sacks by them, though. No, don't get me wrong. I think Washington's still going to be a bad team this year. They did struggle a lot, and I think by teams not as beat up as the Eagles to start the year, we'll expose that. But, yeah. So good on Washington for getting this win. I don't think they'll sustain it. And then as for the Eagles, I think they'll be fine at the end of the day. Although this one was a bit of a shell shock, I think, for Eagles fans overall. Then I swung and missed again on this Bears-Lions game. Although it looked like I was going to be right for most of the game. Bears had an excellent comeback. Mitch Trubisky looked horrible in this game, and then all of a sudden he stepped it up in the fourth quarter. So I guess good for him. Mitch has a clutch bone in his body after all. Although I think it's the opposite of clutch bones in the Lions' body and Matt Stafford. So I don't know where the Lions go after this loss, where I think it was more the Lions choking than the Bears winning this game. So good on the Bears for getting that week 1 win that I didn't think they'd get. And the Lions, it's hard to come back, especially like last year. They had a big lead against the Cardinals week 1. And choke that to end up tying. That DeAndre Swift drop, I think, is going to be very telling of their season this year. And I'd be worried if I was a Lions fan. Though they did have good points, especially without Kenny Golladay. So we go on to this game. Aaron Rodgers blew me out of the water. He looked excellent in his return, defeating the Vikings in a big offensive shootout. Viking fans are calling for Kirk Cousins' head. I wouldn't go that far yet. Although the Packers kind of had this game in hand for a while. But really impressed what I saw from the Packers. Aaron Rodgers said, I don't care that you didn't draft me a receiver. I'm still going to pop off. So really impressed with the Packers. I making me look like top 10 even is a little low for them. They could be a top 5 team after week 1. I'm really impressed with the Packers. And then the Vikings, I think they will be fine at the end of the day despite losing this game. They just ran into Aaron Rodgers on a bad week, which any team can do. I think they'll roll eventually. Niners Cardinals, this was a weird game. George Kittle got hurt for the Niners in this game. They were without some of their best receivers. So this was a weird circumstance. And the Cardinals got the win. So a lot of credit to Cliff Kingsbury and the Cardinals to win a game that was primarily a defensive match. But I think the Niners will be fine at the end of the day. They were still very much in this game despite those injuries. If the injuries snowball and more players start to get hurt for this team, they will be in trouble. But as of now, I think they'll be fine. And as for the Cardinals, a really good win that they probably weren't supposed to get to start the season. So good on them. They're starting that dark horse campaign that a lot of people thought they'd have. I had them as my 15th team in the league. We go now to New Orleans, Tampa. Exactly what I thought happened. Brady wasn't on the same page as the offense for the most part in Bruce Arians' offense. I know this point's been nailed home, but first-year quarterbacks in the offense throw a lot of interceptions in their first year. And Brady did that. He threw a pick six. I believe he threw another interception. Though I was mainly studying the Bengals-Chargers game while that game was on. New Orleans looked good even without Michael Thomas. So good on them. Obviously, Drew Brees did his thing again. Good on the Saints. They're going to be really good again this year. Then I was wrong about the Cowboys. I thought this was going to be a close game. I leaned back and forth all week on it, especially since it was in LA's new stadium. Cowboys just kind of a letdown overall. Leighton Vander Esch broke his collarbone. That is a big loss for them. Their linebacking core is Jalen Smith and nobody else at this point. That's besides the point, though. The offense could only muster up 17 points, and that is concerning to me. Even against Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald and that Rams defense, how they were playing, they should have scored more than 17 points. They took a weird 4th and 3 where they should have gone for the field goal and went for it, and that didn't work for them. And then later in the game, they could have been playing for overtime, but instead they were forced to drive down, and a weird pass interference call got called on them to not win the game. And as a Bengals fan, I think that was a bad call, saying that because of the A.J. Green call. But I think the Cowboys will be fine. And the Rams, this is a good win to start the season for them. In a year where I thought they could kind of start this year pretty slow. But a good win to start the year. I'd like to see more out of Jared Goff, but a win's a win, so good for the Rams. So that's all I have to say there. We can take a sneak peek here, flipping over weeks, at my picks for this week. So as I said earlier, there we go. I think I'm going to say my piece on this team mainly here tonight. I think the Bengals get this done. They faced the best secondary probably in the league last week with Desmond King, Casey Hayward, and Chris Harris Jr. They faced Denzel Ward, and other than that, a very banged up Browns secondary. So that doesn't bode well by any means, I think, for the Browns. They also don't have Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram. They have Myles Garrett, who's a beast, but Olivier Vernon, his status for this game is questionable as of now. So if I'm either Jonah Williams or Bobby Hart, I have to deal with less pressure this game. Same goes for Joe Burrow. So that is a thing that goes more in the Bengals' favor. The Browns got slaughtered in week 1 by the Ravens. So I just don't really know where Cleveland goes from that game. Now, obviously, this is a must-win for them. And to Cincinnati, they're just playing with house money at this point because this year isn't supposed to be anything for them, although Joe Burrow has to say otherwise. But I think because of that, odds are they play more loose. Joe has something to prove. Bengals in prime time. Can they finally, in a game that's pretty big for the Browns, can they show up and prove to people that Joe Burrow is not Andy Dalton and can play in prime time? I think there's going to be a lot of questions answered about both of these teams' seasons tonight. The Bengals, if they win, they could be on a trajectory for like a 6-7 win season, a big improvement to what a lot of people thought. And then the Browns, they could flounder. If they lose this game, they could be in big trouble. So I think it's going to be a close, a potential shootout game because Cleveland has I'd lean Baker is a better quarterback than Tyrod Taylor at this state, and they have a lot more weapons than the Chargers have. So it's a toss-up. I think it's going to be a bit of a shootout. Bengals without Geno Atkins and Mike Daniels for this game. Whichever team can score the ball most wins. And right now I'm leaning towards Joe Burrow, considering the Bengals scored a touchdown more than the Browns did last week. So that is my piece on this game. We'll talk about the rest of these games before Sunday in another video, but just a sneak preview at my picks for those games. So that is it from me. If you guys have NFL Network, have fun watching the game tonight. If you don't, I'm sorry. Hopefully you find somewhere illegal to stream it. Unfortunately, r/NFL streams was shut down. That was really sad for me last week. But that is all from me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure you press the like button. If you didn't, make sure you tell me why in the comments below. If you really liked it, make sure you subscribe. But that is all from me today. Hopefully these lights weren't too annoying from you above me. I've been Mo Sports Network. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. So, peace out.